Halo, halo, halo. Selamat
Halo,
malam.
selamat malam teman-teman.
Selamat malam. Apa
Malam.
kabarnya?
Hari ini Selasa malam.
Selasa malam,
Ayo,
tanggal
pada
29
dipancing.
Oktober 2024. Waktunya
Ngobrolin
nggak ada
web.
yang ngomong. Waktunya
Ya
ngobrolin
kompak sama
web.
sekali.
Hore. Ya, ini bertepatan juga. Hari ini apa kemarin ya? Hari Sumpah Pemuda itu kemarin ya, 28. 28,
Iya,
29.
28, 28,
Ini bukan hari
28
kesaktian
Oktober.
Pancasila gitu.
Yang Pancasila itu
Habis
September. Habis
iya,
nonton film itu.
30S besoknya 1 Oktober.
Oh, 1 November.
Oh, November?
Kan
Oktober
enggak
lah.
lah, kan habis
September.
30S.
Udah lewat.
Perlu penataran P4
Oh iya
lagi
ya.
semua ini.
G30 Oktober kan?
30S
30S, woi.
Oktober Januari 20
Yang
Januari
jelas
sebenarnya.
Kamis ini Diwali.
Diwali. Wah,
Pasti.
nggak ngikutin saya, maaf.
Hah?
Diwali.
Oh,
Diwali itu
Diwali hari
apa?
Kamis
Agama apa?
31
pasti
ini.
pasti tahu gara-gara
Oh,
slot
tanggal merah ya.
kerjaannya.
Tanggal
Di
merah ya.
tanggal merah
Di kita enggak.
di
Cuma
Singapura.
kalau apa sih Malaysia Singapura pokoknya komunitas apa keturunan Indianya tuh ngerayain di Papali kan ya. Ya
Iya,
itulah.
Diwali di Pavali.
Nah, tanya aja sama Kresna nih tuh. Kresna lebih mengerti sepertinya nih.
Kayak di
Selamat datang,
Bali
selamat
nggak
datang.
ngerayain Diwali
Enggak,
deh.
beda.
Oh, beda
Beda.
ya.
Itu
Beda
kayak
ya. Salah ya.
cultural. Jadi
Svelte
bukan
ini mirip view.
seluruh agama.
Enggak.
Ada miripnya.
Agak beda.
Ya beda.
Agak beda.
Mirip dalam arti kayak apa tag-tagnya itu bentuknya, tagnya elemennya menyerupai deket sama HTML.
Ya.
Enggak JSX. Tapi cara
Yes.
kerjanya beda.
Oh, berarti
Tapi yang
teman-teman di
harusnya
sini
ngejelasin
ada
cara
yang
kerjanya ini di mana ini?
Iya. Oh, nanti
Aduh.
kita tanya. Berarti beberapa teman di sini ada yang belum familiar dengan Svelte ya berarti ya. Kecuali Kresna ya. Kresna
Coba di
udah
chat
familiar
ada
ya
tulis
harusnya.
siapa yang pakai Svelte, siapa yang
Hindu
belum
di Bali
pakai.
tidak ngerayain. Oh iya, sorry
Bukan,
salah.
iya,
Salah
makanya
info.
itu culture India.
Saya suka kebalik-balik. Kapan saat terakhir kapan
Kamu
saat
suka
yang tepat
kebalik?
mempelajari spell? Saat yang tepat sebenarnya
Sekarang.
kemarin, saat yang kedua yang paling tepat adalah sekarang.
Di situ
Ini
sekarang.
mumpung spell 5 nih, jadi
Iya,
belajarnya
Svelte
jadi
5.
lebih enak kan ya. Jadi baru
Kenapa
aja
sih
launching
sebenarnya
beberapa
gimmick paling
minggu
besarnya
yang
apa
lalu.
Svelte 5?
Spell 5 di rewrite ulang semuanya.
Wow. Tapi bentar, tadi siapa yang udah pakai Svelte, siapa yang belum? Bentar. Ada
Spell
yang jawab
itu
belum?
dikembangkan kurang lebih 18 bulan, 1,5 tahun ya.
Ya,
18
jadi
bulan,
yang bikin
1 tahun
itu
ya?
si Mas Rich Harris itu ya. Pas dulu beliau masih kerja sebagai developer di New York Times ya, di online
New York
media.
Times ya. Terus
Tapi dia
abis
belum
itu
full time
itu
bikin
Svelte
Svelte.
ya dari awal Svelte sampai Svelte versi 3 atau 4 ya. Abis itu dia dipekerjakan oleh Vercel untuk ngerjain Svelte secara
memaintain full time.
Ya.
Jadi
dia nggak sambilan lagi.
Jadi Svelte sebenarnya sampai versi 3 itu masih kayak side project ya hitungannya. Project sambilan karena si
betul.
Mas Rich Harris itu masih nyambi kerja ya sebagai developer. Gila ya, cuma di sana maksudnya kerja di media, terus karena ada kebutuhan ya buat kerjaan, bisa difasilitasi, maksudnya dikasih waktu buat bikin framework, sebenarnya compiler library sih, cuma kan suka disebut framework. Bikin framework sendiri. Maksudnya di sana ada kultur, ya udah sana boleh bikin apa terserah. Kalau di kita tuh ada nggak sih misalnya yang kerja di Kompas Online atau Detik atau apalah gitu buat kebutuhan itu, terus ya saya mau bikin framework aja Pak. Itu
paling internal mungkin ya, nggak dipublish.
Oh iya ya, kalau internal sih umum sih, cuma ini yang bikin unik karena di open source dan emang dijadiin generik, bukan cuma buat kebutuhan dia bikin artikel, bikin apa website New York Times doang ya.
Ya, ini ada info juga nih, katanya dia itu bekerjanya sebagai desainer bukan developer.
Si
Tep-
itu
Chris
Mas
Harris.
Rich Haris.
Iya.
Cuma kelihatannya kalau apa
Ada
ya
ngoding ya?
dengar beberapa cerita
Front
bukan
end
jadi
kali
ada
ya? Front end bukan?
ada divisi desain maksudnya
Mhm.
kayak departemen
Oh,
lebih ke departemen
dia developernya?
cuma maksudnya skill setnya bisa aja dicampur jadi maksudnya departemen desain cuma nggak tahu job title-nya exactly gimana cuma maksudnya
Ya, ya.
kalau di beberapa tempat di luar tuh kayak desain itu nggak selalu berarti harus UI atau visual design.
Seingat saya sih dia tugasnya adalah membuat visualisasi-visualisasi di website-nya itu
Database.
kan ya, data visualisasi kan. Makanya dia selain bikin spread juga bikin ada library visualisasi
Library
untuk
apa itu namanya yang bisa
lupa aku ya.
charting tapi bisa
Pakai
tanpa
CSS
JavaScript.
doang, CSS
Edan.
doang.
Orangnya
Edan.
gila, orangnya gila.
Iya ya,
Cuma
ajaib-ajaib
karena
ya.
itu balik ke kebutuhan itu kan media online kan selain harus bisa nampilin visualisasi data yang kompleks harus ditampilin dengan ya apa enak dicerna tapi harus cepet juga kan orang baca berita buru-buru harus bisa
Yes.
diakses dalam mungkin ada versi AMP-nya, EMP-nya yang JavaScript-nya juga terbatas jadi harus bisa.
Ya. Dan pas banget malam ini karena kita kedatangan tamu spesial dan karena tamunya spesial terpaksa kita mulai dari detik ini kita harus berbahasa Inggris karena
Let's speak English.
beliau
Kita
tidak bisa
kita
belum
orang
bisa berbahasa Indonesia dengan lancar.
kita orang
Bisa
berbahasa
sedikit-sedikit ya.
Malaysia saja. Bisa
Betul betul betul.
kita belajar bahasa Malaysia aja Pak. Kita
Jadi
cakap
please welcome
bahasa Malaysia.
Li Hao. Halo halo.
Hai,
Hello,
Mister.
Hey,
hello.
hello. Hey.
How are you,
Thank you
Li
for
Hao?
coming.
I'm good. Just got off from work, and
Oh,
thanks for having me. Yeah.
Hey.
Thanks for coming over here.
kami
Nice living room.
you can play piano.
I try.
So before we get started, we already started anyway. But before we ask you some question or you ask us some questions, how about you tell us some introduction about yourself and what you do?
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Li Hao, and I'm a front-end engineer at Shopee. I'm based in Shopee, Singapore. So yeah, that's about myself. So that's about myself at work. Outside of work, I a few years ago I participated actively on the Svelte in open source and also
Yes.
and Svelte. And these days I'm mostly busy with work, but I will go to maybe speak at conference once a year or twice. Yeah, I'm just trying to get to meet new people, and maybe as an opportunity to just travel around to see people. Yeah.
Nice.
You based
So
in Singapore, right?
actually,
Yes.
Okay.
I watched you online when you gave a
Yeah.
talk for Svelte Indonesia
Mm-hmm.
community
Oh,
during
okay.
COVID.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I think that was when I first started going to speak, and yeah, just meet new people online.
Yeah. Before you get famous.
Yeah,
No,
I've got a
I'm not
hipster.
famous.
I've got a hipster claim of watching your talk before you got popular.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Uh,
Uh-huh.
No,
so
No,
I'm
I'm
just
not
kidding.
popular at all. I don't think I'm popular at all. I'm just, yeah. Thanks for all this.
So how you get started to become a Svelte maintainer?
Oh, okay. I think I've shared with some of you before. But let me quickly go through the story. I think it's an interesting story.
Yay.
Yeah. So, it was during. So first of all, is at my work, I'm really interested in learning about build tools, and so I'm more on working towards like the help my team to upgrade like Webpack, and I find it interesting. Like I find like upgrading like React, Webpack, ESLint, this kind of tools, interesting and challenging. Like reading through the documentation and figuring things out. This is basically things that I've been doing at work, and that's how I got into like figuring out like how things how like open source library works. I think that is the first time I'm got into know about, oh, there's actually like open source libraries. What actually means is that there's actually code that is on GitHub that you can actually go and look at. Um, and so that's where I uh, um, get into and like trying to understand all these projects. And during COVID, I was very like everyone is stuck at home, nothing to do, and I was like scrolling through Twitter, and I saw this new framework was released in 2019. I wouldn't say it's released. There's a new version 3 that was coming out,
Yeah.
Svelte 3, during COVID. A lot of people, like some people around me that I follow, was talking about it, and I was very curious, and I realized that they also have their code. They also are open source projects. They have their code in GitHub. So I decided to like clone the code and take a read and like trying to figure out actually how does it work, because it feels very magical to me. And to be honest, the first time I read it, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know how it works. But so I think like basically I know like, okay, this is the entry, like in the package JSON there's a main file and there's an entry file. So there's
Mm-hmm.
basically that's how it starts, right? And so basically I try to comment things out and see like, oh, which part is where. But it doesn't get me too far because it's quite boring and I don't even know what I'm trying to look for or trying to figure out. But it just happens. I think I got lucky that I found like there's this file. There's this module that says like there's some like comments that says to do like we need
Mm.
to have a better way of like implementing it. And I can't remember exactly which one. Maybe it's like a debug tag or something, which is like very obvious by the name, the function name itself. Like, oh, it's related to something, but just I try to like maybe figuring out like what the comment means um and try to make that change lah. Yeah. And so I remember that time I make some changes and then commit and then push and then make a pull request and then I go to sleep and then nothing happened. Yeah. and nothing happened.
Okay.
It was after a few more days until like, oh, I saw someone like comment on it and like, oh, this looks good to me, and then it got merged, and then only like, oh, okay,
Yay!
yeah,
Oh wow.
yes, wow, right. I was like, oh, okay, but I think it's probably because the thing that I made was like not a big change. It's just changing a few lines of code. That makes it like easy to review and merge. And so I got more motivated. I feel like, oh, I think this is something interesting. Maybe let me try and read more and try to find out like, is there more to dos, or is there more issues that actually I can understand and I can try to do. And that's how I get started, like making more pull requests. Yeah. And I have to say I got very lucky. During that time it was COVID. The main maintainer, Rich Harris, he
Mm.
was at that time he was at New York Times, which is very very
Okay.
busy with building the news reports about remember I can't remember like during COVID there's a lot of news where they have
Interactive,
like interactive.
interactive
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah,
COVID.
interactive COVID.
Information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Arts,
yes,
data.
exactly. Yeah, all those things. And it's I think he's very busy building all those website and he
Yep.
don't have time for Svelte. And I think I got very lucky because of that as well, where no one is looking at it, and I managed to like make few more pull requests until they noticed like, oh, how about do you want to join us, be part of the team? Basically means
Oh.
like add us at I will add you into this special group chat, so that
Mm.
if you have any questions, you can ask there, things like that. Yeah, and that's how
Okay.
I like got involved into like Svelte.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. So
Nice.
you just lucky. It's not lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
it's
just
it's a
lucky.
combination of luck and
Yes.
perseverance. like hard work,
and
consistent hard work,
and the moment, yeah,
your
like you
talent.
said.
And and the time as well, right? Yeah, like I think like if I at that time I don't uh because of not of my work, I wouldn't know like, oh, actually, open source means the code is in GitHub, and those are just
Mm,
JavaScript where you can understand. Because at my work I did something like we were trying to when we're trying to upgrading some of the build tools, we have to figure out like, oh, why this doesn't work, and then make like uh issues, create issues, and like actually maybe like show that, oh, this line of code doesn't work, and then make uh questions and stuff like that. It was
mm,
then realized that, oh, actually, it's not some magical things that happen behind. It's all
Uh-huh.
JavaScript.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
mm.
it's
Yeah.
important to understand that. And we can even fix it because we need it for work. Yeah,
Yeah,
let me make a
exactly.
pull request.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get
But
any
usually,
t-shirt
oh,
like
like
from
swag,
Svelte
yeah,
or
swag
Like
hacker
swag.
swag?
Yeah. Is there
from
a
Svelte
swag
team.
for being a maintainer of Svelte?
Did you get
I
something?
don't have something with me right now.
Mm.
But
But
I remember I I remember the first time I was the first Felt Summit. I was there.
Mm.
oh,
The first one after the after COVID, the
after
first
COVID, yeah.
physical one.
In
Yeah,
the
and they
Mm,
UK
have
or
some.
I think in Sweden? No,
Yeah, it
UK.
was at Sweden a few years
Sweden.
ago.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So,
After COVID?
uh, yeah, after COVID.
first one after
Yeah.
COVID.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, the first
After
one, and
lockdown
Nice.
ended.
so I got the T-shirt from the conference, and I get to
So
meet
you,
Nice.
the people in the first time.
they pay you
Oh,
to go
then you
there.
can say, "Oh, is that you who reviewed my PR?" Something like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. I get
nice.
to I meet people. I get to see that. Oh, this is how Rich Harris looks in real life.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Oh, you met him in real life, yeah. Oh, nice, nice,
yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah. It was very interesting. Like people that
Mm,
you heard about
you
it
met online,
online, and
yeah.
you managed to see them in person. I think
Oh,
especially
wow.
because I think especially because in Southeast Asia, even when we go to meetups and conference,
Yeah.
um,
Hmm.
usually you don't. I mean, some of the packages or libraries that we use sometimes are created by people from, say, America or from Europe, and they don't come here often. So it was interesting to be there to see them in person, lah. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But
I
Yeah.
think maybe they
I've
were.
heard
Hmm?
I've heard Evan, you in Singapore right now. No?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
You
Oh,
got and so you guys should come to. I mean, if
Singapore.
anyone wants to meet,
You
even
met
you
you
should
met
come to
him
Singapore
at
for a conference.
any meetups
Hawker
or
food stall. No, you met him at
or someplace random place?
meet up.
I not hawker.
No.
I don't think we stay near each other. He probably stays somewhere like condominiums or like very rich place. But I
Okay.
think I don't know. Actually, I have no idea where he's staying. But
Okay.
he's in. I think I've seen him in conferences. Like there's like
Oh,
one
so
conference
he's
in.
active in the local developer community.
I think
That's,
he does show up in local community
oh,
meet conference or meetup. Yeah, but
that's
of course
Ah,
nice.
his yeah, yeah.
so now we can go
But
to DevFest Singapore. Let's see if Evan Yu is coming.
Evan, you speaks.
yeah, you
No.
should invite him
Few
to
few
speak.
JS meetup maybe.
Yeah, you should invite him to speak, and then he will show up.
That would be an interesting topic now. If Evan you come to any DevFest in Singapore, and the
Singapore.
topic is why you don't need Angular, and let's just use Vue, something like that.
View.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that
Okay.
would be interesting.
So, so in your day-to-day life, day-to-day work, you don't use
Do you use Svelte?
that, right? You use React, right?
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Oh no.
Oh no,
Yeah.
why?
I think I think there's a huge part of the most part of Shopee is written in React. There is a bit
Mm,
of Vue. There. I think in the very beginning of Shopee, people are more like because we are like just starting, like startup, and we are all very
Yeah.
adventurous on choosing all different frameworks. And as
mm-hmm.
team grows bigger and bigger, I think people are thinking more on like maintainability and also like
Maintainability, yeah, how many
yeah,
developers use it.
yeah, and also like maybe on how easy to transfer people around on different projects, right? Maybe like maintain it's, I think it's also part of maintainability, where some, if someone is, maybe you have a team of people working on this project and maybe some of the members left, then does, can anyone help to maintain, or do they need to learn something new to come in and maintain these projects? And and I guess it's like organically, slowly people choose like similar things, or maybe we have new projects coming on and this person have been using React, and setting up a new project with React is much easier than starting everything from new. And because you have to deliver features and deliver, yeah, features, right, fast. And so you use the same thing that you've been very familiar with, or you already have a lot of libraries or utils that is like in-house that you can use with. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think
So
most of the projects. Hmm?
as far as you know, there is no Svelte in Shopee web app
As
or
far as I
website
know, most projects are not written. Are
in
most yeah, I think most, as far as I know, most projects are written in React. But
mm,
I don't think that that will be. We will always stay with React forever, lah, right? I mean, but
yeah.
I guess like it just needs to um uh I think the data is the most important thing to like. I see the part of the question is also about how to convince. What's the
Yeah.
approach to
Have you
convince other
tried
team?
convince
Yeah,
your like your supervisor or
yeah,
something,
like
or
maybe for a
your
microsite,
CTO?
something
Yeah,
apart from the
to use Svelte.
main core app.
I actually have not really tried very
Okay.
hard to convince. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I've been focusing on other problems at work rather than,
Yeah.
yeah, and that rather than
Changing
choosing of
frameworks.
like the frameworks and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I
sensible.
think but recently we are also looking at performance. I think that would
Mm-hmm.
be one aspect that we can see or talk about when we reach the state where, you know, we reach bottlenecks of how much we can improve based on the current frameworks and stuff. So I think we are still very early on in performance improvement. I think we have been focusing a lot on delivering features and basically before you optimize this code, maybe we already delete the code and, you know, build new features and rewrite and refactor and stuff like that. But I
Mm.
think Shopee now has been more mature, and it's time to like consolidate things and like look at like how to improve the performance of certain critical pages and stuff. Then maybe by the time when we do all our best to optimize and we still think we can do much better, then maybe we can like, you know, make some proof of concept or some data to demonstrate that. So the data can be, of course, the data can be a lot of different dimensions, right? One is like performance is better if written it this way than the other. Maybe like bundle size, LCP, core vitals, and data can be also including like resource, like how much time you need to learn this thing and use it to implement this, and yeah, like all sort of data. Then I guess like that would be something that um, be a more comprehensive proposal that you can bring up to someone who can make the decision lah, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. This is another question. Why do you think that people tend to use something like React compared to new framework like yeah, like Svelte or even Astro or Quick or another new frameworks?
mm, I think people are just, if you ask me, I think it depends on what kind of projects you are on and what kind of you like you have, what kind of experience you have been, and what are the requirements that you need to deliver, right? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you have a lot of experience with MERN and
Yeah.
MERN stack, and
Yeah.
maybe right now your requirements is you need to deliver a new feature very fast, right? Then
Mm.
maybe you don't have time to learn a new thing to start
Oh,
from scratch. Yeah,
yeah.
or you have a lot
Got
of
it.
past experience to draw from. Then I think it makes a lot of sense that you just do something that you are very you are very sure of the results, and you have a lot of experience, and you know that whatever problems that you face, you have already experience, know how to handle those. So it's a more controlled
Mm.
situation rather than a lot of unknowns, right?
Yeah.
Of course, like, so it
Um,
depends on situation. Maybe you have a lot of time, and maybe this is not a very critical project. Then maybe you can try, and maybe it's
yeah.
okay. Like projects that you are okay to fail, then yeah, right. You can be more adventurous.
Adventures, yeah. Yeah, so
Mm.
my question is related to what you just mentioned, like what types of projects, what types of web apps would you strongly recommend people to use Svelte for over other libraries or
Okay.
frameworks? And on the
Mhm.
contrary, what types of projects that you don't really recommend using Svelte? Like, yeah, maybe pick something else. Well, assume there's no external constraint like I don't know, like your colleagues only write React, like disregard those factors. Yeah. So, what types of projects would you recommend for Swell?
Uh, I I don't think there's. I think if you ask the same question of what kind of projects, if you ask the same question of what kind of projects that you would recommend people to use React, and what kind of projects you would recommend people not to use React, I don't think there's a clear answer for those things. Like there's a lot of, even like there's all sorts of applications, from simple like blog to even like things like very complicated like Figma, or some uh like Photoshop, or all those like very complex stuff. There you still see people using React to build a lot of those things, right? Or even like the StreamYard, or like some video conferencing calendar, all this, all there you still see people using React for those things, and they work well in all sorts of situation, right? So I would say the same as Svelte. Of course, like comparing to React, uh like Svelte is I would say it would be much easier to use, and it's much more performance, and it's smaller. um and I think if it's just comparing side by side with Svelte and React, then there are certain situations, I find it so much easier to write it in Svelte than React. Would be things like you have to, when you're trying to do with like animation, transitions, those kind of thing. uh it's so much easier to work with using Svelte than work with using React. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
because
remember
Svelte
one
has
one sorry. I
built-in
remember
animation and
one.
transition. Oh, sorry, sorry.
Eka. Go ahead.
No, 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 no. Just
There's a
apa?
delay, seems like.
So,
Yeah, there's a delay. Yeah,
yes,
I
yes,
remember
yes.
one article said that Svelte is for site, React for apps. Is is this still relate
A case.
until now?
True.
This is 4 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
does it still hold
2020.
true now? After React
I,
has
I
so
Mm-hmm.
many new features, same with Svelte, so many new features. Does it still hold true?
uh I I can't remember what's the argument for this one right now. But I don't think it's um I don't think that's the intention of this article. I think the article is, um how should I put this? I think the main, my understanding, deeper understanding of, okay, my my from what I remember, the goal of this article is actually trying to say that, um uh if you want to, like, it's trying to bring like some ideas for people to say like, um instead of having React for everything, maybe
Mm,
if you're building certain sites, you can think about using Svelte, because it is really
I
good.
see.
It's much better than React when you're using it, but it doesn't mean that
Mm,
Svelte cannot be used for apps and stuff like that. It's just that because
okay.
at that point of time everyone is using React for everything, right? So
Ah, yeah,
Mm,
makes
yeah.
sense.
Mm.
Oh.
Like there's a
okay.
world, there's something else outside of React in the JavaScript web dev ecosystem. So the point is more
Yeah.
like that rather than here. Svelte is for this and React is for that.
Yeah, because I remember back then, 2020, we have things like, what's the blogging thing? Um
Ghost?
Medium?
like there's a React framework. that builds like static sites.
Gatsby. Gatsby.
Gatsby,
Gatsby.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like it's. I remember like using Gatsby and like frameworks like this is very heavy, like it does a lot of things under the hood and like
Mm-hmm.
overcomplicate. I feel like very overcomplicated, right? It uses
Yeah.
the GraphQL and then like and all sorts
Yes.
of things,
Uh-huh.
and most people just use it to build blocks, which is a very static,
Yes.
relatively static sites with a little bit of interactions, and like having React is like over too heavy, right?
Too
So
heavy. Mm-hmm.
uh yeah, so I think the article goal is that, you know, instead of thinking every React for everything, how about for sites like that's like lightweight and static, maybe if you just need some interactions, maybe you can consider Svelte, right? Yeah, I think that's the goal of the article rather than say that Svelte cannot use for applications and
Yeah.
anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think at that time, Svelte felt very novel, like very innovative, because
Mm-hmm.
React, use the virtual DOM, and then you have to include
Mm.
the React bundle in the build, like your website, your web page actually contains React, whereas Svelte works more like a compiler. Is that correct? So it processes the JavaScript, spit into regular vanilla JavaScript, and that's what you use on your web page. So on your web page does not actually contain any Svelte at all. So there's no overhead. And I think Svelte was the first to adopt that approach. I think is that
Mm-hmm.
right? Now I think
Um,
Solid or something use the similar principle.
I think a lot of frameworks now have realize that there's a lot of optimization. There's a lot of rooms for optimization that they can do if they move some of those things to compile time. Right? Basically, during build time, you can analyze your application and maybe do something to optimize your application that to the JavaScript that the user receives, and save some of those time needed for the users when they have to run it on the browsers, right? And I think like a lot of as Eka mentioned, right, frameworks like Solid. I think even Vue has like some build time
Yeah.
optimization, and yeah, I think even Angular and all this, they all have some sort
Yeah.
of optimization. Even React right now, there's like React Forget, right? React
React
compiler.
compiler. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So instead of you having to optimize your entire application with all the use callback,
Yeah.
it actually analyzes everything. You don't have to write
Okay.
those, and actually the code that you generate is even more optimal than your the one that you would ever have written using the use memo, right? It will even the JSX that you return, all of them, they will try to optimize such that you don't have to recreate all those objects again, unless, yeah, right, yeah, all those things lah, right? So yeah, so I don't know about the full history. I don't know whether Svelte is one of uh the first one to do it, but I think like comparing one amongst those current famous like big famous like frameworks, I think like Svelte is probably definitely one of the earlier one to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, React has compiler now, so React is in a way kind of turning into Svelte, and Svelte has like the rune, the new effect hooks, like kind of
Mm-hmm,
like
mm-hmm.
React hooks. So Svelte turning a bit like React, like they're just merging.
Oh, yeah,
Like this one state or effect, right?
yeah. But I
Like
would
they
say like
influence each
the
other.
yeah. I mean the even like Svelte 3, I can't remember the exact the thing, but I can't remember the actual the full story about it, but I think I heard this anecdote like someone shared with me before. Um like basically before Svelte 3, which is like Svelte 2, and then React hooks came out, and it was like it was very new back then, right?
Yeah.
2018, 20, yeah, and a lot of frameworks like even Vue has composition APIs, was very heavily
Mm-hmm.
influenced
Yeah.
by that. And I think Rich Harris also saw that, and they think about how they can use it for Svelte, um, right? And that's how
Use
Svelte
the
3
dollar
was, yeah,
sign. No.
It was before the dollar sign. Like
Oh.
before Svelte was written in a very it's written differently, right?
Yeah.
It was not as not the situation as you can see right now. The way like for example, the use effect where like instead of using like the reactive declarations like the dollar colon something like that in Svelte 3, those are all
Mm.
like or setting like declare states and stuff. I think those are they think about all these syntaxes when React introduced like hooks, and then they were like, okay, this idea of writing or declaring states and effects is interesting, and but it's not a nice way to write. So how we can improve it or do something like that, and then therefore like born like the Svelte tree syntax that we see right now.
Yeah.
And for Svelte 5, or the runes that we see right now is actually born
Mm.
by the limitation of what we can do in Svelte 3, because analyzing the code base and trying to figure out all these things by during the compile time by the compiler to figure out where what variables will change, what variables is used in by template will change, and you have to track everything, and you use some heuristic to figure that out to make sure that to check whether which variables is reactive. And there is um, a lot of situation that that logic will break or does not work, right? For example, when you move this variable or this statements into another function, then it will break. It will not work anymore. Or you move
Mm.
it to a different file, it will not work anymore. You just change. Maybe you have a reactive declaration, and you just move the statement into a function, and then you can't see that this variable is a dependency of that statement, and then it doesn't rerun anymore. Like a lot of these kind of things breaks when you just make some refactoring, right? And
Yeah.
this is the limitation of the compiler uh at the moment, right? Because we are not we don't have we have no way to figure out what are the dependencies exhaustively, and figure out everything that we um figuring it out. So that's why we introduced like some runes to basically uh to mark like to mark it lah, that to tell the compiler these are the reactive
Now you have
statements.
to pay attention to this part, yeah, and maybe to reduce a bit of time complexity, because
Mm.
maybe if the project is very very large, the compiler then has to work very hard to to find to detect which parts will be changed and which parts are related. Like if you have a function, which pages or which components use the function. Maybe this will improve performance.
Yeah, I think it will it's that's when Svelte call it the universal reactivity, right? Basically
Mm.
it's when you have the code that you want it to be reactive, you already mark it with like state runes, right? And when you move this code anywhere, whether you move it into a function, you move it to a different file, you move it like across many files and folders into a different packages and stuff like that, it will still work. Yeah, like even like you call a different function, you move it into a function that inside another function, or move it anywhere, it will still work. And that's why we call it's like a universal reactivity. It just works everywhere in your code. And basically it's um yeah, that's like one of the things that is um much better than in Svelte 5 4 or before Svelte 5, where you can only have reactivity in components, and once you move out you have to rewrite it into using like Svelte store or some other ways of writing it, right? Yeah, which falls back to the client's the runtime reactivity lah, which basically is what it is right now. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
related to Kresna's question there.
yeah.
Like it's a good question. Do you have
This
info?
one.
Also? Yeah. especially how the internal team and ambassador reaction, like did it get a lot of backlash, of course, as far as you are allowed to ethically disclose, like
No.
were many
Yeah.
people happy, like yay, we finally have this, or were they like no, no, it makes it so complex, or whatever, and what were the arguments, like it's, I think it's interesting for and
Yeah.
against.
I have to. So I think sorry to disappoint here. I don't really know. I wasn't very much involved in the discussions about the entire thing, so I don't know um like all the discussions and arguments for and against. But I do know, like, whenever we come up with something, like when you first see it, you were like, oh, why we have to do this and things like that,
Mm.
and it's only when you start writing your code using it, right? Like try to use it to build some components, build some applications, just trying to play it for a while, to say, for example, rewrite the existing code into this into a code using like runes, and play around with it. Only you start to realize that, hey, actually it's not that bad than you first imagine, right? When you just look at the docs, you're like, oh wow, what's this thing, right? But then when you use it,
Yeah.
and then use it a few more times, especially to
Yeah.
refactor old Svelte code, or refactor
Mhm.
existing React code and whatever to Svelte 5, then you realize that actually it's oh, actually it's
Makes
actually not.
sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, right?
Makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah.
I think. Yeah, and I think it's been, I think, almost a year since like we first like the alpha version to beta, and then until like now, right? And
Mhm.
I think most people have come to realize that actually um it's actually makes sense, and actually it's a nice way of writing it.
How
Yes.
I just wondering about when Svelte is now is growing and more features. I think Svelte 4 to Svelte 5 in the architectural level is like changed drastically, I can say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the way
Yeah.
when Svelte 5 introduced runes and this effect. So well, that's a sorry, how can I foundationally change the way
Foundationally,
of compiler detect
fundamentally
those
change.
fundamentally change that uh, detecting those
Mm-hmm.
state. I'm more interested about how to keep this backward compatibility, and are there any like unit testing? How much is the unit testing in Svelte framework
In the library.
library
Oh,
right now?
okay.
Do you know?
So
Is it
actually, if you go to
comprehensive? Yeah,
if
sorry.
you go to the Svelte repo, you can see all the tests that's written for Svelte. Um, and whenever there's like a issue that's being raised, yeah, you can go to the packages Svelte folder, and then you can look
Packages felt.
at
Sorry. Which one?
you just
Packages.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Package Svelte.
and
Okay.
then you can look for the
Yes.
tests folder,
Oh.
and then you can
Oh.
see like these are all the tests. Maybe you just open one, maybe like runtime runes, or anything. Maybe like yeah, runtime runes. Look at Open one of the samples. Maybe like
Oh
yeah,
my god,
any
this
one
is
of
a
it
lot.
will do. Yeah, you
This
can just
is
open any.
open any.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, I
If
think you can
string.
open any. And then
Okay.
you look at the main not spelled. So this is a component, right?
Uh huh.
Uh, okay, so this is a component, and then if you go to the config.js file. Maybe on the left you see that there's a
Yeah,
underscore
on the left
config.js.
side, but
Yeah, so
the
this is a test.
assertions.
Yeah, so basically this is like, okay, when I render this component, what it should behave, what it should do,
Ah.
what I should see on the HTML and stuff like that. So you have a lot of test
Ooh.
case like this. If you scroll all the way down, these are all the tests. On the left side, you can keep scrolling. You can see all the different tests, like, and how. Yeah,
It's
maybe this one is
nice.
like.
It's such a nice way to understand how it works, right? Like if you're wondering, like if you just see the
Yeah.
syntax, like it's alien, like wow, what is that? It's strange. But like if you see each test case, like it demystifies the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's how it works. Okay, it's all
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah. So for the one that you just see right now, it says like await a count, right? And then the count is just a state. Or
Right.
yeah, anything, right? Yeah, maybe this one you look at, you pass you create a state using a state runes, and then you pass it await, and then what should you see on the screen, right? And then the config.js, if you look at click on the, it basically says that it shouldn't throw an error. Yeah, I think the test is that doesn't assert anything, but at least it says that it shouldn't throw an error when during a runtime,
Uh-huh.
right? So
Yeah, it
things like
should
that.
it should load. Uh-huh. It should
Yeah,
not
correct.
throw.
Yeah, so we have a lot of this kind of tests in Svelte 4, and every time when there's someone making an issue and we fix certain bugs, usually we'll create more new test cases uh to when we fix when we make when we make a pull request for the fix, we also add the new test cases, right? So we build, that's why you see there's so many test cases, because we have built out so many test cases over the years. And when we do this over, when we are rebuilding for Svelte 5, basically the entire code base is rewritten, the from scratch,
Wow.
Oh.
and yeah, it was a totally new project. Everything was written from scratch, and the compilers were written from scratch. A lot of things was um, back then. I think we were using some CSS parser, some JavaScript parser, and some like uh, uh, libraries, and like AST walking libraries, traversal libraries, and stuff. And some of those things are rewritten or create a new library out of it. So and so when we implement, when we start creating we rewrite the compiler, a lot of those tests fail. So we reuse all the existing test cases to run with the new compiler, and a lot of those things failed. And basically we slowly fix the compiler from there until we make sure most of the test cases pass, or until all the test cases pass. Or some of the test cases have to rewrite lah. Sometimes the way you use the component is no longer the way that you write it, right? So that's why you see that the runtime dash legacy, which are
Mm.
some of those tests that are for the legacy mode, and yeah, or there are
Mm.
new tests. Yeah, so that's how we ensure that um it works for when there's a new, it works, how to make sure that it works lah, that these are the unit tests for the for the svelte. So you have runtimes, you test for CSS, you test for server side rendering, even transitions, animations. Yeah, yeah,
Sorry, this one. Okay. Ooh.
yeah. So
Oh,
I think
many.
CSS is interesting. Yeah, you can click on one of them, like for example, this is what you write, and then you expect the CSS to looks like
Compiled
something like
with
this. Yeah,
arbitrary name. Yeah,
Expected.
so
Yeah, expected result. Yeah.
for
Mm.
yeah,
yeah,
for those who don't know, in Svelte components, we can just collocate the CSS directly, so we don't have to think about installing any CSS library. We
CSS
can
in
just
JS.
CSS in JS.
CSS in Svelte.
No,
CSS in
CSS.
Svelte.
Yeah, just
CSS
use
in.
regular style tag. It will be compiled with arbitrary class name like that. You can use
Oh,
Tailwind and whatever CSS. That's one of the
nice.
reasons I like Svelte.
yes.
Okay.
So
So,
is Svelte you going to Rust soon?
Rust,
I don't know.
Because
We'll use
it's a
Rust
joke
as a compiler.
because
Rust
Everything
everything is
rusty
compiler.
at the end.
written.
Everything rust in at the end.
I don't know, but I do know that there are definitely people are looking into it. I mean, like, it's open source, everyone can know the source code out there. I think it's
Yeah.
like you also have the test cases here, right? So probably you can use them to write like you can write your own compiler in Rust, and you just test against all the test cases that you have in Svelte. And yeah,
It's done.
uh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's possible. I think, yeah, I believe like world is so huge, there's definitely someone in some part of the world thinking about it, and maybe someone actually does it as well.
Isn't Svelte using roll up?
Up
Roll up.
Roll up, right?
used to be.
Roll up fit
Used to be
now,
or
maybe?
still or fit now?
Mhm.
You mean
Let's see.
Okay.
to for
The
Svelte kit,
compiler.
or you mean for
For
Svelte?
No, for Svelte proper. The
Uh,
compiler.
no. The compiler is all written in JavaScript. So for
Mm.
Svelte, yeah,
oh,
it's using JavaScript, and yeah, it's written on its own lah. Yeah, it doesn't use
doesn't
um
use any third
So
party.
library.
how
Yeah.
the JavaScript how the compiler in Java in Svelte build? So you don't have to build anything. It's just like you can run the runtime without build it
No, we
from the
compile it
source.
first. We build first.
Oh,
Compile into
if
regular
you can
vanilla
open
JavaScript.
Yeah.
no, if you open the GitHub repo again, Lisa,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like it's a source, like it's the compiler is the source, and how it's
Run.
built.
How to run it?
Yeah, it's a
Ah,
build pnpmr.
it's written
Oh.
in it's actually written entirely in JavaScript, with some TypeScript. Uh,
So it's
yeah.
not using any uh yeah,
Build
not like build like
There's some build steps
Rust.
to
Like Rust now.
There are some
Webpack
build
okay.
or
steps to optimize it. But it's you can use with you can use it out of the box. If I remember
Okay.
correctly. Um, yeah, let me check quickly on this one.
okay. Meanwhile, uh, do you know that any web or web apps, popular one that use Svelte, for example, like linear app using React?
I I know, for example, recently I was using Apple Music.
Oh yeah, Apple
Oh,
Music create with Svelte, right?
wow.
The online.
I
Interesting.
I I I
Yeah,
think I
the
saw
online one.
Svelte inside Apple Music.
Yeah, this one.
Oh,
This one is using Svelte.
Yeah, I don't know whether entirely or like the thing, but I do see like there's some you see there's like Svelte class. Yeah,
yeah.
in the element that I just highlight.
This one,
There's
yeah,
already yeah.
this one, yeah. This is using Svelte, and then also the podcast syntax.fm also built with Svelte.
Mm.
Oh, Svelte
Oh
kit.
yeah, Scott is a Svelte guy.
And
Yeah, yeah.
one more that I know is Pocket Base. It's like Supabase or Firebase, but you can uh, you can deploy it manually using Skillite, and the user interface is using Svelte as well for the backend, uh, for the admin side.
Is the website open source?
The website,
I
This
think
one?
so.
Yeah,
This
the
one,
Pocket
Pocket Base
based
is open
website.
source.
yes,
Yeah, the website, the Svelte website,
yeah, yeah.
so you can clone and learn.
We
Because
can
syntax website
see,
is open source, I think. So you can try. You can see
yeah,
how things work.
hmm,
Site, yeah, there it goes.
side, and
Svelte.
yeah, svelte.config, yeah.
Yeah,
What
what like
version?
Mm.
what version?
SvelteKit, yeah.
Svelte 3. They're on Svelte
Svelte
3.
3. Okay.
Yeah, now we've touched on SvelteKit. I've got one remaining question. Maybe we're gonna have to wrap it up in a bit, but important question: meta frameworks, like with all the
Hmm.
routing
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. Svelte has an official one, right? SvelteKit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know of any other major Svelte meta frameworks like the outside of SvelteKit, or do you just recommend just go with SvelteKit? Like, what do Svelte developers usually use?
I think there's definitely a lot. there's definitely other Svelte meta frameworks. I just suddenly can't think of one right now.
Many years ago, I discovered like Jungle JS, Elder JS, but I
I
don't
Yeah,
think
Elder
use
uh,
JS,
Elder.js.
yeah.
I don't
Elder.js
think
is
Node.js.
those really gain traction. But then again, now I don't really explore Svelte
Hmm.
meta framework ecosystem
Before
in
Yeah.
spell
detail.
kit, I think before spell kit.
Yeah, yeah. When SwellKit was
Supper
still
day, supper day.
Sapper, yeah,
Hmm.
like Sapper kind of beta, like it's not
Yeah.
really polished. Then SwellKit came out. It's the official meta framework. Now I rarely see about Svelte based meta framework. What do you think? Would you recommend SwellKit or something else?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think like if you uh if you're new and you're not sure which one to choose and you don't know what you need or you want, then I would say like just start with Svelte, right? It's the official meta frameworks that's built by the same team that's building Svelte, right? And I think the team has put a lot of effort thinking and figuring out like what's to it's by the same group of people coming out figuring out the best syntax or best way of expressing or writing application for Svelte, right? So you will feel like it's very natural. It makes it like, a lot of things that make sense, and yeah, and it doesn't really matter whether you are building a simple application like a blog where it's purely uh static, or you have some pages that you need to make it very like dynamic, like server side rendering, or you do some
Hmm.
pre-rendering, and I think like also different kind of rendering modes, they can work all together in inside SvelteKit. And you whether you want to like have like um data like connect with database and like do some sort of form actions, like submit like data fill like submit data like basic CRUD kind of application. All this have like Svelte Kit has all the solutions included, like all the opinionated way of like how you can build a Svelte application that has all these features for you. So I would say like if you want to build an application that's like you don't have like very specific requirements. I think most situations you Spellkit just works. Yeah, it's the most it makes sense and it just works lah, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So, what's next for you? Is there any plan to make another tutorial, especially for new Svelte and Svelte next version in the future?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've been saying I will definitely make more video contents and stuff like that
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
future, but I have always been procrastinating. But I think now is really like somewhat like maybe somewhat like a wake up call for me, because I realized that most of my
Okay.
content will slowly go out of date, become
Yeah.
useless after Svelte
Yeah.
5. If I
Mm-hmm.
don't make new content, then I think no one will ever, that I will not have new subscribers and no one will watch my content anymore. So I think yeah, I think that it's time for me to come back, I guess. Hopefully it will stays, and I think uh um yeah, I think like I think maybe that's something that my resolution for next year lah, maybe. Yeah.
Nice. Yes, because
Yeah.
your content is so good. For example, like build your own Svelte that we saw at JavaScript
Mm-hmm.
Bangkok weeks ago, and we need that kind of content because uh, uh, we just uh, we just not learn how to use the framework, but we know how to
Mm-hmm.
how it works behind the scenes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
go ahead. What do you think
No,
about
I
yeah?
think I know what you are saying, and
Mhm,
um
mhm.
yeah, I also hope I also wish that I got I able to see this kind of contents when I first started out and like trying to learn things, and especially you want to learn something and you like trying to figure out how like Svelte works, and you are stuck. And if there's like a content that actually will tells you where you can how you can go about, I think that it will be very useful, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean that kind of content is also very niche. Like not everyone actually wants to know how it works, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can understand like you don't. That's I can understand why you don't see that often in
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, but yeah, that's one of the things that I was that was one of my motivation of creating content, was to basically create some of the things that I hope that it was there when I like try the first starting out to learn things. Not just basic things. I think basic things, there's a lot of that out there already, right? Then
Everyone, hello world.
yeah, so there's
How
things
to
that
make a blog with just one post.
yeah, exactly. So then like when I want to like advance, and then I realized, oh, I actually,
Mm.
where do I find, like what kind of, where are those things? And I don't know, maybe I'm not even sure actually, to be honest. I don't know whether those kind of people will actually be watching YouTube videos, or what, maybe they are more of a blog kind of person, or maybe this kind of
Mm.
person will be preferring more on like building, like get their hands dirty and like do it on their
Dirty.
own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but I don't know, but at least
Well,
like yeah, I enjoy creating those things as well lah. So
if it's out
Nice.
there, people will, well, let the algorithm find the people. You don't have to think about it.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So you just put
Nice.
it
yeah.
out there, let YouTube find those people.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. But is that why
Mm-hmm.
you guys are creating this podcast as well?
We want
Right?
to
Or
learn
Not
this
a lot
kind
of
of
things. Yeah.
really,
Not
because
really.
otherwise, otherwise we wouldn't be catching up with, in web dev, especially JavaScript ecosystem.
Yeah.
We just blink at of an eye, boom, new meta framework, boom, new compiler, and but of course, in our day
Yeah.
job, we can't just chase everything, but we need balance between like maintaining like real world stuff and exploring in depth existing technologies or new technologies. So that's why we just commit to talk every week. Sometimes we
Hmm.
don't really have a lot to talk, so we just ask the chat. Yeah,
Or
to,
read together. Read some
yeah,
article together. Yeah. Or
how does it work?
documentation.
Yeah,
So,
and try the
addi-
demo.
additionally, on top of that, right? So we as a web, well, our profession is like web dev, and most of the time we are isolated in our
Isolated,
work,
yeah.
Yeah.
and we work
Especially
alone
we work remote.
during the work day, working day. We just solve tickets to tickets, nothing else.
Or just
Maybe you
interact
can
with our
relate
team
that.
members, like a small team, but we don't
Yeah.
really talk with other developers outside our own team. Yeah, this is a
But why
nice.
not?
And we met during the events, but
Yeah.
after that, well, it's just one day during the events, like, and
Mm.
after that nothing else, like. And by having this podcast weekly, we can keep talking about whatever for the
Web.
web and web.
What's new?
One or two things is will like catch up with our brain, and somehow when we need that in our future thing, it we know it. Plus, why don't we just also have this podcast, so others also learn together with us. We learn from
Hmm.
others, others learn from us, so it's like
Yeah.
And
mutual thing.
also, that graphic about like someone has strong knowledge in this part, but the other have strong knowledge in this part. Like no one has the exact same set of skills, but kind of overlapping, and it's a nice way to kind of merge all the skills and knowledge. I've actually found like a couple of useful things for my own work based on what we talk about in the weekly podcast. Oh yeah, Ivan mentioned about this, or Riza mentioned about that. Ah yeah, I know that
Mm.
one. I just go to the Google Docs with the links. Ah yeah, that's it. Nice.
Oh yeah, that's very helpful.
Okay. Yeah. You're welcome anytime if you want to join us.
Just ping
Yeah.
us.
Just ping us.
Okay.
Or maybe
We
if you
can
have any
talk.
side project or
Yeah.
fun open source project or whatever that you want to promote, as long as it's web and open source.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Please
And also about
let us
micro
know.
front end. We haven't talked about
Yes.
micro front end, so we keep
Ah,
that
nice.
Next time.
slot
Next
in the
time.
future. Next time we can
Okay.
talk about micro front end. Our audience
Okay.
here is excited. Well, they've been asking about micro front end
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
multiple times in
They
the past.
curious about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
none
none
of us
of
actually use
us
it.
actually have the
Actually
experience
use.
of micro front end, so we cannot
Mm.
have
Yeah,
that
like
topic. So
I've done Hello World Turbo Repo, but that's not a legitimate legitimate
Okay.
experience to give a talk. Like the
Yeah.
production use case is always so different from the tutorial and sample.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. So we
Mhm.
were having another session, is it?
Oh, of course.
if you
We
are
would
If
love
willing
you
to
to.
it,
want,
we
if
would
you
love
want,
to
and
have
when you
you.
are free.
Yeah. Yeah, anytime.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. We
last
can. We
question
can.
before
Yeah.
we are going too far. Do you have a wish work as a programmer for building tools for developer like Svelte in the future?
Do you
Uh,
want? Would you like to work on tooling one
Join,
day?
yeah, full time.
mm, that's a very good question that I've been asking myself, and um, to be honest, I don't really know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, the reason is because uh, I think like I think if I'm gonna say this, you will find it uh, funny, and or maybe you would think it's like very realistic. Is that at least right now I think that what Shopee can pay is much more than is a stable good income
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
that then then something that I don't really know how much I'll be earning. Maybe I will earn much more, right? Or maybe I've got more fun and other things that I can get that in return on working on toolings. But I think right now, um, one of the big main reason of that why I'm staying at Shopee is it's a good company, or it's a good company that pays well, and there's a lot of people like it's there's a lot of interesting problems that like I'm working on right now that
Yep.
um so like yeah, there are times that I was thinking about something else, but it's always unknown, so maybe who knows,
Mm.
maybe one day when I really get bored and maybe Shopee pays not as good anymore, then maybe I will consider something different, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Very good.
It's I
That's
don't
fine.
know. Yeah. Maybe it's not a very like very grand like vision kind of answer. You
Okay.
do
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I got it.
No, we got it. You
So
got to
you,
be realistic, like balancing lofty ambitions or ideals
yeah,
with real
Yeah,
life
and
stuff.
you.
also like and also like basically the most of them are working in Europe or in like America,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So it's either I have to work at their time zone or maybe I have to
Mm-hmm.
be there
Go.
physically,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm very I think like me and my wife we like where we are staying right now. So
Ah,
that's also another considerations like I don't think
yeah.
we want to move ourselves to somewhere totally different and experience a different life.
I see. Get it.
Not
Get it.
even back to Penang.
I mean, like back in hometown, maybe that's a totally different story, right? But I mean, like what I mean is the comfort food of Southeast Asia, like warm
Hmm.
food, hot
Yeah.
Laksa.
weather,
No.
yeah,
Hmm. Durian.
durian, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So if people want to get to know you more, like want to discuss or ping you,
Where to
where
find
should they
you?
go? Mhm.
That's a very good question. Um, the reason is because I am a bit lazy. You can
Okay.
find me like I've tried to tell people like you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube and stuff like that. But I realized
Yeah.
that I'm too lazy to reply all of them.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Maybe I think if you have questions, you can ask Riza, and then maybe if it's a lot of people asking the same
Perfect,
question,
perfect answer.
we will come. Then maybe
We will
I will
have
just
another
come over
podcast.
podcast.
All
Yes,
right.
yes.
All right.
That's
We'll,
Or
welcome.
join Telegram Svelte ID. There is Lihao there. Yeah, mention him. Maybe he read or not. That doesn't
but if
matter.
he's too lazy to open Telegram, then you're not in luck.
Yeah. If you want to know more about Svelte, you can ask the in the Telegram. People probably will answer your question. If you
Yes.
luck, if you're in luck, Lihao will answer that.
Explain.
Read and answer.
All right. All right.
Any plan to come
Okay.
to Indonesia next
Hmm.
year?
Is there event? Is there? Yeah, I don't
Maybe.
know. Maybe. Yeah, if there's event, there's meetup or something that.
Let's find
Yeah.
GDG Devvesel
Interesting.
IO to invite Li Hao.
Yeah, we will contact you very soon. All right then. Thank you for coming to our weekly podcast. Hopefully,
Thank you
Thank
for
you
having
very
me.
much for the
yeah.
chat.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your knowledge. Good luck and see you in the next event or in the
Next
next
podcast.
episode.
Next podcast
Yeah,
episode,
Next
right?
podcast
Yes.
episode, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
See you
See
everyone.
you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
and bye
Yeah.
Thank you,
bye.
chat.
Bye.
Bye bye.